Hello and welcome back to Internalize the podcast. Again, after I guess a couple of weeks, I don't know how long it's been. Uh yeah, welcome back. It's been a while. I've been working a little bit on my creative process, and I've been working on my college application. I submitted my first application on the 1st of November, or rather a little bit earlier, I think around the 30th. I think first was my deadline. But yeah, it's been going on. The reason I wasn't able to, I guess, release a podcast or a blog post earlier was, I suppose, because I mean, not I suppose, it was because I decided to kind of shift my process a little bit, like the workflow. I wanted to make a more systematic way of working on creative stuff instead of being, just a little bit, yeah, like floating around kind of thing. So yeah, it's going good. I think the process has helped a little bit. First, like, I improved my Notion workflow. Instead of having like 650 million pages in my sidebar, I just have four, which is home, project manager, notebook, and studying. And yeah, my project manager is everything I do, basically, from tech stuff to, YouTube, blog, music, learning, like the Coursera course I'm doing right now. All of it is there. And yeah, I think so far it's been pretty good. It's definitely, there's a little bit more friction to kind of finding what you're looking for, but it's low enough that I think the benefits of having such a clean setup is significantly more than the drawbacks right now. But yeah, I think it's going quite well, and yeah, I'm feeling quite excited to get back into things. I just finished a YouTube video as well. It's a cover of a Taylor Swift song, and it should be out sometime. Uh, it should be out by the time you're listening to this. Actually, I intend on releasing it right after I finish recording the pod, and the pod will be delayed by a day or two. I think it's going to. I'm going to schedule it right now, but it's going to probably release sometime tomorrow or day after, depending upon what I feel. But yeah, I think everything is in a pretty decent place for me to get some work done, learn new things, just develop myself a little bit. But yeah, so today I want to talk a little bit about an album I just listened to. Maybe not just, like a couple of weeks ago, I listened to for the first time. It's called 5 Seconds Flat by Lizzy McAlpine, and I think it's one of the most underrated albums of the year. Uh, or rather, not this year. It was released in April of 2022. It's definitely among the most underrated songs of, or rather, underrated albums of 2022. Lizzie McAlpine, I think she's a lot more popular in the sort of musician music type field. I guess she's maybe like the type of music she makes is kind of similar to Loive, but it's not so. Uh, I suppose, what do you call it? What's the word for it? It's not so outwardly jazzy. It's a little bit more uh, pop. It reminds me kind of a little bit of Charlie Puth with a little jazz R&B type elements, with a completely pop bass to it. Maybe a little bit of Jacob Collier as well. Songs like the song with Kimbra, I think it's called In My Bones or something. Uh, it reminds me a little bit of that, the album. But yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I first heard of Lizzie McAlpine because I was going through Jacob Collier's Spotify page, which is something interesting. I don't really do that very often because, number one, I don't use Spotify. I use Apple Music now. And number two, I just listen to what I want to listen to. I don't really search very much in the page. Anyway, I was going through Jacob Collier's Spotify page, I suppose, because I was looking for all of his albums and seeing, you know, in what order I should listen to them in. And yeah, I saw that he was featured on this song called Erase Me by Lizzie McAlpine. And I felt that, it's probably a good idea to kind of understand whether it's probably a good idea to listen to it. It looks very interesting. So I listened to it, and it was just incredible. I really, really, really liked it. And yeah, I think that's how I got to know of Lizzie McAlpine. And yeah, I listened to a few more of her songs from 5 Seconds Flat. I heard Ceilings, because I think it's still her most popular song. I heard Hate to Be Lame because it featured Phineas, and Phineas is one of my favorite producers ever. And I heard Reckless Driving because of one of my friends who told me to listen to it. I mean, she said that she liked it. So yeah, and all of them were really good. I really liked all of them really much, really very much. What am I saying? And yeah, so I decided to listen to 5 Seconds Flat, and I think it's one of the most underrated albums. And yeah, it's great. It's really good. Vibe wise, I think this is one of the few albums. I mean, there are very few albums that have a more coherent vibe that this does. I think maybe Taylor Swift's albums or her more recent albums have a more coherent vibe. Maybe like Folklore, Evermore, Midnights. They have a more coherent vibe than this one. But this has an extremely well thought out, coherent vibe to it, which I really enjoy. Uh, they f- they flow through all the tracks, and it's so cool. It's really cool. It's like kind of dystopian in a very basic level. The songs are very dystopian and sad. Like if you listen to Doomsday, the first track of the album, you kind of understand what I'm saying. But the tracks are kind of sad, and most of them are like breakup songs. Not most of them, at least a few of them are breakup songs. uh, what I really love is that the album kind of takes different ways of trying to create the same vibe. I mean, it's not like every song has the same emotional characteristic to it. It's like every song has the same vibe to it, but the vibe is built up of a ton of different complicated emotions that are each explored kind of in detail in every song. It's like a monochromatic painting in a sense, where you have a bunch of like a single color you choose and a bunch of shades of it that you use to uh, make a painting. And yeah, it's really good. And honestly, the cover art kind of fits the the album really well, especially like it's kind of dark and orange, which is very much what the album sounds like to me, to my ears and pseudo synesthesia, I don't know what to call it. uh but yeah, I think it's really good. The vibe just fits, and it's really cool. I really enjoy albums that do this, especially as someone who listens to albums top to bottom instead of listening to particular songs. I really enjoy listening to albums top to bottom. I really appreciate albums that have a solid creative vision that is executed upon really well. Next up, the songwriting. I think the songwriting is incredible. It really shows that Lizzy McAlpine herself wrote a bunch of the albums of the, I mean, a bunch of the songs in the album, and all her writing is really well augmented by her singing as well, and it's really good. Even conceptually speaking, the songs are really cool. Like Doomsday, for example, is a song about planning your own death, and Firearm is, I think, about a toxic relationship, although it's not as obvious as Doomsday is. The lyrics are kind of interesting in the sense that they aren't really from the Taylor Swift school of having, you know, rich descriptions, or like it's not as raw as I suppose someone like Taylor Swift is, but I think it's a lot more like finesse. I suppose it's a lot more smartly written. It's like well thought out, very articulate. Each word flows into the next really well. All the lines have like they just sound rhythmically so pleasing to the ear, and yeah, it's a very different kind of style. I'm like not the kind of style I usually enjoy, but in this, or rather, not the kind of style I usually prefer. But I'm able to appreciate this, of course. I think it's like kind of amazing. It's so good, especially if you listen to it top to bottom, which I recommend doing for most albums. Most artists tend to put a lot of effort into trying to figure out what flow to have for their songs, how to go from one song to the next, why, which songs they're in the album. Like if you've ever uh, spent time listening to the Taylor's version of any new album, you'd know that she's put out a lot of. I mean, she's just ditched a lot of kind of incredible songs just because they don't fit in the album, I suppose. But yeah, it's really good, really good. The songwriting. Next up, I think the vocals. The vocals are absolutely incredibly good. Like the vocals remind me of early Billie Eilish stuff, like things from what do you call it? From like Ocean Eyes era type Billie Eilish vocals, but it's not stacked as much. Of course, it's a lot more sparse harmonically speaking. But the tone really reminds me of early Billie Eilish. Her voice is incredibly pleasing, and the vocals really augment the kind of the songwriting that has happened in the album. And it's not like she's constrained to like a single style or something. She sings extremely versatilely. The Her versatility is just absolutely mind-boggling. Like Ceilings, for example, is really soft, and the vocals are airy, and the harmonies are sparse. But Erase Me has the banger Jacob Collier type harmonies, and Orange Show Speedway is a lot more like poppy, and the vocal tone is a lot more powerful. And yeah, I think Lizzy McAlpine is super good as a vocalist, and she's really underrated. Now the production is so good. It's the producers Etherington and Ebbage were able to understand the vision behind 5 seconds flat. At least I feel like they have, because vibe wise, sonically the song really fits in with the vibe of, or rather sonically the album fits in with the vibe of the album, the songwriting in the album really well. And yeah, it's so good. It feels like the album was written and composed by one person. And the thing reminds me a lot of like Charlie Puth and stuff, sonically speaking. And it's something I like to call Berkeley pop, like a kind of middle ground between straight pop and like musician music type of things. It really fits the vibe of the album really well. And yeah, I think these guys were able to get like a really optimum mix of electronic and acoustic instruments in the album, which really helps the emotional, I guess, quality of the album come out. And I mean, these guys are synth geniuses. I feel the arpeggio in Erase Me, holy, it is so good. It's so insanely good. Now, I think in the album there are some of my favorite songs are Erase Me, Ceilings is really good. Hate to Be Lame with Phineas. Phineas's tone in that song is amazing. Doomsday is also really nice. I love the concept, and the song itself is also amazing. Orange Show Speedway is an absolute banger, and it's an amazing end to the album. And yeah, All My Ghosts I think is really nice, really sweet, nice break from the like rest of the dark Doomsday esque album. But yeah, if you have time and you like Berkeley pop type music by like Loewe, Charlie Puth, Jacob Collier, listen to 5 Seconds Flat. It's so good. It is absolutely incredible, and I really love it. Now, yeah, that's all for today. I think I will catch you next week if I figure out what to what to talk about. And yeah, that's all. And I will catch you next time. See you.